music holds memories, right? So people hear a piece of music and say, "Oh yeah, I walked down the aisle to that music," and then you experience those emotions again.
My music tastes are quite diverse, but I always fall back to a certain type of music because of the emotional connection that I have with that music.
We're conditioned to fit into society, go to school, you have to sit still and be quiet. Nobody could look after themselves, that individual, better than that individual. Yeah,
that's what I think. That should be the definition of the dictionary. Should now say mindfulness, see dancing. Right, because
and you mentioned things like Reiki. When do you think that will be available on the NHS ever?
It's interesting because this is something that
people is really just sharing what I find works really well, in a very practical, accessible way, because that's what we're busy. We're a busy society, and staying well, it takes time. It takes effort. It takes intention. And sometimes it can feel like a bit of a to-do list in itself, and cause, for some people, and I'm not just for some people, including myself, oh, I haven't meditated, I haven't gone to the gym, my diet is not up to scratch, and it just reflects how busy we are as a society, and also reflects how we are human, and life happens, doesn't it? Things happen, things crop up. Busy, I'm a mum of 3, so lots of juggling around, trying to work, and then we've had lockdown, and all sorts of things can come at you. And so, going for a class in a yoga studio, whilst it's amazing and very beneficial, for me, it just wasn't as accessible. And that's where dancing comes in, because it's fun. It's something that you could do just wherever you are. Like, you don't have to change. You don't have to go anywhere necessarily, especially because I'm now doing this all virtually. And you don't even need anyone to necessarily dance with. You just pop on your favorite tune.
Do you even need music?
Do you even
I mean,
need
there's a question.
music?
I mean, I don't know. I'm just throwing that thought out there. I mean,
Yeah.
it's in theory, depending on how vivid your imagination is, you could just go with the flow as to whatever's going on at the moment. It doesn't have to be an external beat. You could dance to your own rhythm, right?
Well, yes. Yeah. Why not? But I mean, in terms of allowing people to drop in
Sure.
in a sort of really quick way, music and sound, all of those therapeutic benefits, and then really connecting with the music. You're allowing your body to connect with the music, and music holds memories, right? So people hear a piece of music and say, "Oh yeah, I walked down the aisle to that music," and then you experience those emotions again, and that enjoyment. And so that's really where a lot of the magic comes through. It's linking with our emotion, our feeling, as well as moving and having fun all at the same time.
And do you know what? This is we've been speaking for like 3 minutes, and this I just had to hit record because I was like, this is just, I knew this was going to happen. We're going to have a great conversation. So I've hit the record button. But what you're saying is exactly why I wanted to speak to you in the first place, because it's very clear from the few minutes that we've had so far that you're very passionate about this. This is, you kind of already alluded to that. And I think when someone's really passionate about something, it's obvious, right? You don't need to advertise it. And I think when you come across someone like that, and in my opinion, they're putting good back into art. I think that is something that we should share. And I think the message that you're sharing as well, and you've kind of summed it up there really nicely in your description of music and dance and what brought you to that. I think it's so important, isn't it? And you mentioned there about an emotional connection to
Mm.
music, and I've always listened to music because of that, right? And it's for that reason. And I love music. I used to DJ. I've always been into music. I've been into instruments and drumming and things like that. And my music tastes are quite diverse, but I always fall back to a certain type of music because of the emotional connection that I have with that music. Now, what I'm just thinking about here while I'm talking to you is that now I can look back and say, oh yeah, that was a song that we used to listen to when we were at school, hanging around in the common room, and we used to do this, and I have these memories of things I used to do and places I used to go.
Yeah.
But back then, I was listening to music not because of the emotional connection of something that happened in the past, but just because of how it made me feel in the moment, right?
Yes.
It was, here's a beat, here's a song, here's a bit of music. This is feeling good. And then you soak in everything that's going on around you. And that's what you're reflecting back on, for me, 20, 30 years later.
Absolutely. So you just said it right there. We talk about mindfulness
Mm,
and being in the
good word.
present moment. And so if you go for a yoga class, they say, oh, tune into your breathing because that is what is anchoring you to the present moment. Well, dancing to music, that is such an amazing way of being present, really feeling those emotions, connecting with the beat, and moving how you want to, and feeling good at the same time.
I
It's
think
just in a nutshell. Yeah.
that's what I think that should be the definition of the dictionary should now say mindfulness, see dancing, right?
Yeah.
Because what you've just said is so true.
Uh,
And if you don't believe people listen to this thing, what are you talking about?
yeah.
Try to dance and multitask, right?
So I
Try.
wanted to just because what as I've been doing this, so I've been doing this dancing, connecting to dance in this kind of fun, free form way for about 8 weeks now. So it's relatively new to me because a bit
Mhm,
about my background, where I started in terms of my love for dance was more steps and choreography
okay.
in Latin American dancing. I used to compete actually
Cool.
many years ago, but for me that was just so enjoyable and fun. But I find as I've been doing this type of dancing, which is just very freeing and accessible to everybody, because actually we are all as human beings, we are actually wired to move
Mm.
and wired to dance. So why is it that some people don't dance? Because there are, and I'm seeing what I'm seeing is that um it's our past experiences, our experiences through life that maybe somewhat limit us and form a limiting belief, perhaps, that, well, I can't dance, or I don't have time for dance, or I've got two left feet, or I don't have any rhythm. These kind of things come up when they say, "Oh, why don't you try dancing?" That might be
Mm.
the case rather than anything. So it might be kind of go a bit deeper as to why,
Yeah.
therefore, people don't.
I have an interesting thought process around that, and this is just like, this is not advice. This is just what's going on in my head. So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just a guy with a microphone talking. So just listen to me or don't listen to me. But
Yeah.
I'm one of those people, right? I'm one of those
Mm.
people who you say to me, dance. I'm like, I can't dance, or I don't dance, right? And I've been, and I've, and do you
Mm.
know what the truth is? I like dancing. The truth is,
Mm.
I like dancing because I love music so much. And I think, and this is just based on a scientific experiment of one, right? That's
Yeah,
myself.
yeah.
In that, even though I don't want to dance when people, hey, come up, I remember, and this is going back to childhood, and this is probably part of it, right? When I've reflected back when I was a kid, we used to go to family functions and, we have Navratri and Garba and things like that, and weddings and all these events that you go where people are dancing. I don't know what it was, but I just never felt like I was comfortable doing it. And then what happens is it's the pressure around you. Like, oh, come on. And I remember I used to get dragged as a child, right?
Yeah.
Dragged onto the dance floor by my cousins, by my, elder uncles and aunts. And I just wanted the floor to open up and swallow me up whole, right? That was the feeling that was going through my mind. So I
Mm.
think that the part of me now, or as an adult, thinks that's what dancing means to me, and therefore I don't want to do it because it makes me feel horrible. However, when I'm on my own and I don't have people like you, it's almost when you said that comparison between Latin American dancing and the free dance. I watch you dance, and if anyone hasn't, we'll talk about it in a moment. But
Yeah.
if you watch you dance now, you can see what you mean by that.
Yeah.
There's no rules, right? And I think when I was in my own world and there's no rules, whether that's me in the shower, whether that's me in the car, whether that's me standing here now in my office in between sessions with the speakers here in the background, the music blaring,
Yeah.
I will dance. I will bop. Even if it's just going along and just writing and doing this, and
Yeah.
if I'm in my car, I'll always do it. And I think so. Everybody, I genuinely believe, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I genuinely believe every single person has had a moment on their own where they've listened to some music and they've danced. Whether you want to call it bobbing your head, to me that's dancing, right? Because you're
That
moving your
is
body to the beat. To the beat. Is that fair?
absolutely. Yes, yes, that is, and you've just identified, you're not alone. N of one, you're not alone in this. It's like I can't, eh, I don't want to, because of those experiences you had, which go way back. And so I see this as part of what the work that I'm stepping into is helping allowing and enabling and guiding people to find that freedom within themselves
Yeah.
and their bodies, and tapping into that amazing body intelligence we all have. We're all very, very like, we want to think and understand and talk, and that's also very profound.
Mm,
But actually our bodies possess so much wisdom that if you allow it to and just be free within your bodies, then that kind of freeing movements, that just helps, with the energy meridians and those channels, just freeing that up can allow things to maybe that have been deeper rooted actually come to the surface and just kind of be processed out of you.
yes.
And that's what I am uh, kind of stepping into and discovering that this is my work, this work that's unfolding in front of me, is to help people get there. Because dancing for me is it's part of me, part of my soul, and so it's easier. I would say,
Sure.
yeah, easier for me, but it's um. So here's something to think about, just to kind of depict and explain why we are as human beings wired to dance. If you have a room full of 3 and 4 year olds and you put on a piece of music without saying anything, what will they do?
Yeah, they'll wiggle their bums around.
They will so they will not only wiggle their bums around and jump up and down and just go crazy, but they'll be noisy.
Yeah.
They'll shout and yell. We're sort of, we're conditioned to, fit into society, go to school, you have to sit still and be quiet in class.
Yeah.
Same when you go to a dance class. You're not allowed to show or feel your emotions necessarily. You've got to follow the steps and choreography that is being taught.
Yes.
So even for a dancer, within inverted commas, there are some
There's a structure, isn't there?
yes, the
Yeah.
limiting beliefs to break through, to actually allow that freedom. So I'll give you an example, first-hand experience. When I started to discover this free form dance for myself, I was in my room. I was going on a online class and in Transcendance, which is what I facilitate in. And nobody, it was just me in my room, windows, blinds down, door shut, no. And so she was leading through the class, and even I felt a bit restricted
Okay.
and inhibited in some way, for me.
Sure.
So I was like,
Yeah.
wow, this is interesting.
Mm.
Even for someone like me who used to dance in front of many people, compete, perform, I felt a restriction in my own body and my own ability to move. So I've been on my own personal journey
Yeah.
through dancing of just becoming, just allowing that freedom to come through and connecting on much deeper level to the music. And now that I do a little bit every day, it's just such a cumulative, has such cumulative effects, beneficial effects, where you can drop in so much more easily. And I find that all the benefits housed within the practice that you do in the moment, say 5 minutes, 10 minutes, actually carry through off the dance floor,
Yes.
whatever dance floor, kitchen floor, lounge
Yeah.
floor, car, you know, whatever
It's
metaphorical floor you're moving in on.
it's a training, isn't it? It's like if I go to the gym and I strength train, well, I
Mm,
take those gains or those benefits. Obviously, if I do it for a period of time, I take those away from the gym, and I'm strong when I'm not in the gym.
that's it.
So if I'm getting to this point when I'm dancing to this release or this euphoric point where I'm just free and there's no boundaries, then I can
Yes.
take some of that. If I'm and you mentioned, and we can get into this in terms of practicing a little bit or doing a little bit every day or every few days, that you take with you into other walks of life, whether you're going into a Zoom meeting with colleagues or whether you're going to meet friends for a coffee, whether you're going to see family member, it doesn't matter, right? You take everything that you've learned into all of these other experiences, and it can serve you in those moments. And I think this is where you mentioned mindfulness. This is how I describe mindfulness to people that I'm coaching, in that it's a training, it's a strength training for your brain. And if you don't strength train your brain, then it's not going to get any stronger. You're not going to be able to think clearer, make better decisions, and stop cravings, all of these things. And I like the way you describe dancing like that, because it is a very, very powerful. Um, we can. I guess it might be a good time to talk about it. It's a powerful. What's the word I'm looking for? Just a trigger to unlock a lot of whether it's stress, whether it's anxiety,
Yes.
whether it's whatever it might be that's going on inside. As you said, it might be something that's happened many, many years ago, that's people, someone's holding with them for a long time, but
Yes.
it's a tool, it's a platform, it's a way to unlock that, just like any other modality that people might be doing now are, such as meditation, such as
Yes.
mindfulness, such as therapy, such as
Yes.
whatever, cold water exposure and saunas. All these things are just tools to unlock us from whatever it is that's holding us back. And there's
Yes.
no right or wrong answer here, because we're all going to have a different journey here, and we're all going to have something that needs some level of unlocking and release in that way. And so why not dancing? If you can do it with exercise, why not do it with dancing?
Absolutely, and it's something you don't have to necessarily think about as
Yes.
well. So,
Yes.
getting out of that thinking, busy mind and just having some fun.
Yeah. And I think that for me is the it's the it's the deal winner, right? It's the deal winner is to say, look, do you want, you could go along the questioning. Do you want to feel better today? Yes, I want to feel better today. Do you want to get some physical activity in today? Yeah, I'd love to get some physical
Yeah.
activity in today. Would you like, we can go through all the benefits in a minute of
Yeah.
what dancing does to you, but then ultimately it's like, do you want to have some fun? Now,
Yes.
you ask any single person who is alive today, do you want to enjoy today? Do you want to have a bit of fun today? It
Yes.
doesn't matter what they've, even if they've just come off of a trampoline party, or whatever it is,
Yes.
adrenaline high, jumping out of an airplane. Yeah, I want more fun. So to combine that with all of the other benefits as well, and when I'm talking to people about dancing, I often say just put the music on in your kitchen and just dance away. And I've referred your Instagram page to so many people, because I think it's so fantastic, and it's just a great
Mm,
example of what you can do.
mm.
And and I always finish with, and I always say to them at the end, I've never seen anyone dance who's miserable. That's it. I've said no. nobody, I've never seen anyone dance who's,
No,
and if they look like they are, they're putting it on for show,
for
right?
sure.
You watch Strictly
Exactly.
or whatever, and they've got
Yeah.
these serious faces on. That's all for show. But
Yeah.
inside, they are jumping
They
for
are
joy, right?
jumping for joy. And it only takes those songs, what, they're 3, 4, 5 minutes long, one
Yeah,
song.
yeah.
And it's I don't know, I don't want to, can we guarantee? I think you can guarantee that from where you've started, before you started dancing, to the end of the song, you will guarantee feel better.
And if it's not this song, there is a song out there for you because,
Yes.
and again, I've experienced as a DJ. You know, as a DJ, my job was to make people dance. That was what I was there for.
Yeah.
That was what I was getting paid for. And you
Yeah.
would see that, right? You'd put on a song and then it's like almost like an Instagram. It's the back in the day. That was my old Instagram post. I put up a post and no one likes it, right? It's like, oh God, no, didn't like that post. Let me try something different. You try something different. It's like, oh look, I got people up off their bums. And now there's more people joining them. And now I've got to carry this on. And then you put, so that someone said there's always going to be a beat that someone wants to follow. And you mentioned you can't guarantee it. I think, yeah, if someone's, I think the key thing is the person who's engaging. They have to engage with an open mind, have to break down those barriers. As you mentioned, oh, I can't dance. Dancing's not for me. And,
Yeah.
at one point, I used to think, well, I can't dance as well as the other people that are dancing right now. So I'm not going to put myself out there because people are looking at me, because of what
Mhm.
are people going to say. And that's, that's definitely part of some of my insecurities that I've got inside of
Mm.
me, but they're real, right? I'm not,
Oh
they
gosh,
are
yeah.
real. They
Yeah.
are there. That's how I feel. That's the thoughts that's going through my head. So that's I get that from people, and I get that objection. But I think, like I said, just take yourself back. And in those cases, I always say to people, just take yourself to a time where you have been alone, where you haven't had these barriers. Like I said, whether it's in your car, whether it's in the shower, and when you have done a little jig, right?
Yeah.
How did that make you feel?
Yeah.
Just for that one, even if it was you're in the suit, and I've seen people do this in the supermarket, right? A song will come on,
Yeah.
and you can just see, oh, and then they'll start tapping their foot while they're looking
Yeah,
at the
it's
red
natural.
bananas,
The thing
right?
is,
It's
it's
natural.
natural. It's
Yes, there you go.
natural. It's well, what more can we say? It is natural. And all these objections and barriers, they have been created
Mm,
through our own experiences. One other thing that I found, so um I did my training in Transcendance, which we can talk about, back in April, and then started offering classes once a week and now once a month. And my classes are quite fully immersive experience, about 90 minutes of a real kind of yummy dance, gratitude, self love, acceptance, stretching, mindfulness, all kind of wrapped into one. But even then, I felt I'm still not dancing as often as I would like, because
mm,
my ultimate goal is to dance every day. And so I still wasn't doing that. So
right.
for me, that's what led to me doing this dancing on social media, where I'm held accountable and I have a bit of a community to dance with and share with. So I
Yeah.
think that's also well, incredibly powerful, the power of community. Right?
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, not only is there the power of community, but the way I look at it is that you're giving back. If we look at, we can talk about purpose and all of these things.
Yeah.
And one of the things with purpose is that you're there to serve for the benefit of others. And I think, well, what you're doing by putting yourself out there on social media, it's flicking a camera on, whether there's one person there or 100 people there, right? You're just there wherever you are in your home dancing, and you're giving back to people. You're showing people, and like I said, you have to watch one of your dances to see it, because it is contagious as well. And when you see someone having fun like that, when you see them just being free and not caring, it does change the feeling and the mood inside of you. It's like a yawn, isn't it? It can be contagious, that feeling as well. So I think
Yeah.
that, the community is great, but you're just giving back and showing people in this world of in the world of over information, right? We're in the world
Yes.
of where there's too much information. Some people, and I completely agree with this view. Some people I know, they're just like, I don't even bother with social media, and I was one of those people for 10 years. I was not on social media.
Mm.
I get it. I get it. However, I think we've got to a point now where I was just listening to a podcast on it, where people are starting to use things like tools like social media for a positive cause, right? To help people, to share knowledge, information, wealth, health information. And yeah, okay, I get it. You can find anything on the internet. You can find someone telling you the sky's purple and someone telling you the sky's pink and someone saying no, it's blue, right? You can
You
get
can
that
still
opinion.
get
However,
confused. Yeah.
you can still get confused.
Yes.
However, if you just spend a little bit of time curating what it is you're looking at and
Yeah.
just focusing, and the way I start off and say, just surround yourself with what you're interested with first, what your interests. But you can use it, to a lot in a lot more powerful way to help you through these things. And you can find people who are now, cultivating, people. I mean, people are on social media making an income. It's their main income. It's their main
Yeah.
way of earning a living. Which, whether that's a separate conversation, whether you think that's right or wrong, or whether they're putting out the right message. But the fact people are doing that now means that you can curate your own experience, and you can learn so much about anything you want, right? Whether it's dance, and just look at what I'm sitting here doing a podcast. I didn't wake up one day and go, "Oh, I know how to do a podcast," right? This was a learning experience. Like, right, okay, I listen to
Mm.
podcasts. And then by watching social media, getting on social media, YouTube videos, all of this, you figure this stuff out. Okay, this is how you do it. This is what you need. This is what you do, and then you kind of build up that knowledge base, and you can do the same. And this is where I think, where I love when people are putting themselves out there with something that they're passionate about. And I don't want to speak for you here, but I get the feeling that this is what you think as well, is that whether it's, like I said, one person or 100 people, you'd still be doing the same thing, right? You'd still be
Absolutely.
there doing it, whether no one's watching or not.
Absolutely. I'm dancing like there's nobody watching, really.
Okay,
That is my kind of, I mean, I do care in the sense that I want to share this with and reach as many people, uh, help help as many people on this planet to dance. So
fantastic.
that's
I
one
love it.
reason
I love it.
to be on things like platforms like social media. But if
Mm.
when I'm dancing, nobody's actually dancing with me, that's not a problem because I'm dancing. And
Yeah,
because I'm dancing, I am going to be showing up as a better person, as a better mother, as a better doctor, as a better member of society, honestly and
yes.
truly. And I feel like from a personal point of view, um, this has really unlocked the real me on
Mm.
a completely different level to it for the first time in my life, really.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's interesting, isn't it? And whatever your modality is, and you can go on social media and find people who are passionate like you are about dancing, about mindfulness, about meditation, about yoga, whatever it is, exercise, right? Um, I think whatever your chosen modality is, just that sentence there, I would be doing it for me, is that's all you need, right? And then by sharing it, what we're doing is you're almost letting people into a secret. Is saying, hey, listen, I know what unlocked the real me. I know what made me really happy. Do you want to know what it is? Well, here you go. Have a look at what it is. And someone might go, dancing. No. Okay, then.
Yes,
I hope you find your thing, but
yes,
that's okay. That's absolutely
absolutely.
okay.
We're all we are all
Yeah.
different. We all have different tastes, um, and that's what makes us unique, right? We'll have a different. We'll gravitate to different things. Um,
But you know what works for you at the end of the day, and this is something we've found, or you found that works for you, and you're going to carry on doing it. And I think
Absolutely.
there's a lot to be said for that, and to also do that on top of everything else. You mentioned a few of your roles there, a mother and a doctor, and all of these things. So I mean, that's how I kind of wanted to start the conversation. But let's get into that. How did you arrive at this point? Because
That's
but
that's the thing.
just
I'm sorry, Sanjay. I just like you can't stop me talking about dancing. I will always talk about dancing over anything else that I do.
Well, we can definitely carry on talking about
No,
dancing. But
but
let's
carry on.
talk about the story.
Yes,
Let's talk about the journey
hi.
to dancing. So you're
Yes,
not a dance teacher. You're not a
no.
dance. So just in case people are kind of come into this conversation, going, "Well, who's this person?" Right? Tell us exactly. What is it you do? How did you get to this point in your life where you are now? Discovering what you're discovering.
Yeah, so I am my background, I would say, is working as a GP in the NHS. So I've done that now. I don't no longer work in the NHS as a GP, but that's what where I started as in my sort of medical career. And I very very quickly, but didn't realize why necessarily, just was very unhappy with the work I was doing. I just didn't feel like this, and there's whole kind of layers to this, the system, the way we approach the human body, the sort of quick kind of uh, a pill for a ill kind of approach, wasn't cutting it to actually truly help people. So I felt very dissatisfied with my role, the work I was doing, and then when I had my daughter, and she was 6 months. When she reached 6 months, and when they have to start eating proper food, and weaning, I just looked into her nutrition with a bit more interest than before, because yeah, I didn't really know very much about what the power of food. That wasn't part of my training, or it isn't part of traditional medical training. And then that took me down the rabbit hole of, oh my gosh, the power of food is amazing. Wow, why didn't I know about this? And so then that led me. So I started following, various people on social media, actually, sort of learning through there. And that led me to one particular nutritional therapist. I loved her food, Amelia Freer, her name is, and then she posted something on her Instagram or Facebook, a picture of her with Mark Hyman, doctor over in the States. I don't know if you've heard of Mark
Yep.
Hyman.
Yeah. No, doctor. Yeah. No, Mark Hyman.
Yes, and by the way, his Mark Hyman's best way of relieving stress is dancing.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes,
Yes.
I have heard that. I heard him talk about that before.
Yeah, yeah. So if it's good enough for Mark Hyman, um, and then that led me to another um, amazing discovery, to the world of a different approach, looking at health and well-being through a completely different lens, called functional medicine. And that brings in a lot of lifestyle medicine, so looking at and helping support people with stress. And I don't all all manners of stress. There's psychological, emotional, physical, biochemical, environmental, relationships, stress from all of those, and that's huge. Stress is
Sure.
just huge. Looking at optimizing sleep. So all the sort of lifestyle important factors, as well as nutrition. But then also going a level deeper through functional medicine for people who need it. So
Mm,
looking at how their body is functioning, um, what is their gut function looking like? How are they eliminating toxins? What does their hormone balance look like? Where could we sort of optimize there? So looking much deeper on a deeper level. Functional medicine is sometimes referred to as root cause medicine, and I would say that it's usually root causes rather than just one single cause.
yeah.
And so then I started my own clinic, offering functional medicine, and after I did some training, and then decided to leave NHS general practice altogether and focus my time there. And then, so when I started, I was really, really enjoying it and finding it was, this is the kind of medicine I want to be doing. I feel like I'm making more of a difference and getting to the root causes. But I found that stress is such a big factor for people, that's affecting people's health. And so we talk about things like, have practicing gratitude and having fun and all of these wellness practices. And I thought, oh, how, that, recommending yoga and stretching and going for a walk, nature, all of these amazing things that people can do as part of their self-care.
Yeah.
But then for myself, I kind of was reflecting that there was a big chunk of um, a big chunk missing from my own life. And over time, I realized that was dancing, because when I had kids, the Latin American dancing was no longer an option. That was a huge commitment, time commitment, and that was no longer available to me. So I stopped dancing, um,
Right.
as a result of that, with kids and career. And so then, I saw something. Someone who a friend of mine said that she dances every day. She put that on Facebook. I dance every day, and that really caught my attention. I thought, what? How? I want to dance every day, and then that led me to discover um, Transcendance, which to me brings together my passion for health and wellness and well-being with my passion for dancing. So then
Yeah.
that led me to train up to facilitate Transcendance. Um, and yeah, the rest is history. Now, everything that I do, the dancing that I do, is inspired by Transcendance. It brings in mindfulness, gratitude, self acceptance, releasing anything that doesn't serve you. So it takes dancing to a whole different level to what probably most people, myself included, thought dancing was about, which is just choreography, steps, and ability to
Mm.
dance and rhythm. And um, and the other beautiful thing about Transcendance is that it's accessible to each and every one of us, whether you're fully mobile and able-bodied, or whether you're wheelchair bound, or having to sit in a chair for whatever reason because you don't feel like standing, maybe, or if you're actually lying in bed, you
Mm.
you can still dance. Like, you can dance with your eyelashes
Yeah.
if you wanted to,
Yeah.
and really kind of tap into the visualizations and the mind body connection.
Yeah. That's so powerful. So are you still working as a doctor? You've got a private practice. That's something you're still doing as well?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I do.
Okay.
I still work as a doctor, and I'm working on and learning how to merge the two as much as possible. Because I
Fantastic.
feel so. I offer these transcendence sessions free to all the clients I'm working with, because I
Brilliant.
just think, well, it's part of your plan.
Mm. Your prescription.
It's your
It's your
prescription.
prescription. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm working towards making it more accessible for them to tune into these free, sort of quick ones that I'm
Mm.
doing, because not everyone's on social media.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
I think, just hearing your story and the journey and this, we've all had that moment, that sort of moment where we're like, okay, this is the direction we want to go. And you've just followed that. And I think it's, as you said, now you're at this really, really fun sort of turning point where you're bringing in these two worlds together. And I think that's, again, not trying to take the conversation away from what we're talking about, but that when we talk about purpose and passion and what we're here to do, I think that's the best way to look at it, is what do I love doing in my life? And
Yes.
how can I bring those two components together to, whether it's, yes, we're going to earn a living, we have to earn a living. There's an element of that as well, but also have fun and enjoy my life. And I think that, and you alluded to this earlier, I feel like you're right. The fun part of life has almost been conditioned out of us, and it does start from a young age. And I've seen it. I've seen it in my daughter. My daughter's 4, and she started reception this year, or this September just gone. And before reception, sorry, before we entered nursery, all they did all day long was have fun, right?
Mm.
There was, oh, you walk into the nursery and it's just an open space,
Mm.
right? There's no desks, there's no chairs, there's toys around the side, there's climbing frames and
Mm.
obstacles and soft toys. And you go in there in the afternoon and it's mayhem, right? And they're
Yeah.
all having fun. You go in there now and they're all sitting there on their little desks, and it's really cute. They're sitting there in little desks, little chairs with their bag, and then the teacher calls their name. You must sit down, be quiet, stop moving, stop making noise, and that is going to be her experience in life, for life, for the next, well, she's 4, so 8, 14, 10, 15, 16, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Many years of her life now are going to be sit down, be quiet, listen, do. And look, I'm trying to sound like a dinosaur here, but I feel like that there needs to be a shift, and there probably is a shift happening. I'm just probably not aware of it. I mean, there is a shift because they're doing things like mindfulness and kids yoga and stuff like that. So there's definitely is a shift towards overall wellness. But you're right, and it's that fun element gets taken out of it. And then, with regards to things that help us relieve, you mentioned stress being such a big block and a big barrier to, I think, everybody's health. I think we all, I think stress is one of those things that we all experience it at some stage in our life, right? There are going to be other things out there which we might hear about, but we never experience it. But I think stress is one thing we can comfortably blanket statement say every single one of us is going to experience this in a different way at some stage in our life.
Mm.
And the things that we're now, it's interesting now because the things that we're now coming up with as a reliever of stress, dance, mindfulness, meditation, all of these practices. Well, these practices have been around for centuries.
Oh,
People have been doing meditation for centuries. My grandmother, every morning, she will sit in her little room and she will, I didn't know what she was doing, but now I get it. She's meditating. It's her way of meditating every single day.
yeah.
And it's almost like the last 20, 30 years, all of that stuff, including exercise, because that's kind of my pillar, if you like, that I kind of lean towards,
Yeah.
including exercise, was kind of just shunted to the side. And it all became about, and again, I'm just going to show my age here, but, it all costs from the 80s, from the Thatcher days. It's like, work, start businesses, sleep is for wimps, and go out there and smash it and just work. And
Yeah.
as a result of that, we've got stress in our lives. And it's now, okay, what can we do? How can we deal with this? Okay, what drugs can we come up with? What medications are there out there to help
Yeah.
people?
Yeah.
And we're forgetting about all these things that have been around for years. And now I get it. I understand why those things have been forgotten about in the mainstream, is because the science wasn't there to prove that they worked. But, and this is where in conversation, when you have a conversation with an 80 or 90-year-old, and I've spoke to my grandma about this all the time, and say, what was it like when you were around? And their experience is very different. It's like, I don't care if you tell me that what I'm doing doesn't work or you can't prove it with science. I know it works.
Yes.
And I remember her saying that to me, and I used to think, you just, almost like I had the upper hand, like, you don't get it. And I'm like, no, I'm the one that don't get it.
Yes.
So I think now what we're seeing and I'm so happy with this is why I think we are living in such an exciting time right now. And, that we're now being able to prove, hey, meditation works. This is how it works.
Yes.
All of these techniques work. And I think that is what we're seeing now in this turning point with social media. You mentioned you went on social media to find people around to educate yourself about nutrition.
Yeah.
And even as a doctor, I mean, some people might be surprised to hear you say that.
Or
You
just
as a
more
doctor,
inspiration,
sure,
because there's the information part of it, but there's also the inspiration with regards to food, for example. You want to have a bit of inspiration. Oh, I could try that. Oh, I could try that.
yeah,
These different combinations of things.
yes,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the few things I've just written down here I wanted to speak to is, I am in complete agreement about the fun. That there is that there's no such thing as too much fun. And the thing with people's health, and when they go and see a doctor and see the sort of medical community, it can be quite disempowering, because they're given a label. The
yes,
aim of the doctor and I know this from my general practice medical training, is that we want to be able to diagnose a condition, because once we diagnose that condition, we know what set of medications, pharmaceuticals that have been, studied that can help that condition.
Mm,
But that when you assign a diagnosis to someone is very, very easy, and this happens all the time. We forget about the individual.
yeah.
And the individual feels a bit disempowered because well, okay, I've got this condition, I've got to take this drug or these sets of drugs which cause a side effect, and I have to take another drug to counteract that side effect. And the emphasis on self-care, the emphasis on things like exercise and nutrition isn't isn't fully supported. I mean, I'm being honest here. Like in reality, it is not fully supported. The system that exists is not fully supported to help people along, to support those important aspects of their health. And so they think, well, the solution is to take these medications, or maybe have a bit of counseling or CBT, um, to support their psychological well-being. um but it is very disempowering. So I feel that they kind of lose, we're sort of conditioned to lose our way with things. And then what I find is people are, the fun, where's the fun in that?
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
lose the
it's just
fun.
it's completely been removed from it, hasn't it? And it's the labeling. I definitely, this is the subject that it does kind of get to me a little bit in that you do get labeled, and whether there's the intent of labeling isn't to make someone feel a certain way, but that's what it does, right? You go into the doctor, whether it's with your BMI, right? Yeah, and this is what I talk about all the time. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you're obese.
Mm.
Okay, so then
Yeah.
that person, for the first time in their life, they've heard the word obese,
Yeah.
and I'm in a job where I have to do this. I have to say to someone, "Oh, this is your height, this is your weight, and this is your BMI, and this puts you in this category."
Yeah.
And I do get the reaction of like, "Oh, I would never have thought of myself. This is the first," and it's
Yes.
almost like I feel really bad now saying it to that person. I'm like, "Gosh, this person never even saw themselves as obese.
A
Now I've
bit.
put that thought in
Yes.
their head, and now." Are they going to go around thinking I'm obese? And scientifically, according to BMI, they are obese. Now, that could be something different. It could be a condition. It could be, you've got this issue with you. You've got a heart issue. You've got whatever it might be. You're diabetic, right? It's a label.
It's a
And then it's
label.
like,
It's a way to categorize so that we can then study what
yes,
works for those categories.
yes.
Ultimately, when you think
And
about
then
it.
but then
Yeah.
also from the patient side of things,
Yeah.
okay, now I have this condition. I have this label, whether
Yeah.
diabetes is one that I'm familiar with. I'm diabetic. I'm a diabetic now. I need treatment. And then
Mm.
for them, the only right now where, as you mentioned, the way the system is set up is that, okay, what drugs are available? What is available for a diabetic to get better or to manage the condition? Whether can I
Mm.
get better? And again, the information is not out there, or it's not clear enough for people to know.
Mm.
And I think that labeling is a big part of it. And I think that's just a shift that has to happen in society, because there's an interesting it's been going around for ages. This is something I see on social media, like one of these quotes, and it's like, if your doctor prescribes you drugs without asking what you eat, what you do all day, how you sleep, and how much you move, then you're talking to a drug dealer, right?
Okay, you said that, not me.
I did, and I'm happy to say it. My wife is a legal drug dealer. She's a pharmacist, and I joke, but I say that to her all the time. But it is true, isn't it? It's like,
Mm.
that's the era we're coming. I think we're still in it. I think it's the era we need to shift away from. In that, doctors, and I guess this is where functional medicine, lifestyle medicine has stepped
Mm.
in to take that place. It's like,
Mm.
no, you mentioned root cause. Let's find out about this person. Just because they have been labeled with X,
Mm.
what's actually going on in their life?
Mm.
What is happening to that individual?
And what can they do to look after themselves?
Bingo.
Uh,
That
that is
that's
huge.
that's huge. Because
Nobody
why
nobody could look after themselves, that individual, better than that individual.
exactly. That is the golden ticket, isn't it? It's
Mm.
like, we do not need to outsource. Okay, asterisks here, but we do not need to outsource our entire health and well-being to a doctor And I look, I have the greatest compassion for doctors in this
Mm,
country, because especially GPs on the NHS. 'Cause I have
mm,
friends, I've met many people who have become my friends as a result of this podcast who are doctors,
mm.
and I know how the system works. I know it's not them as an individual. That
No,
it's just the way, it's the way that the role is, the way the system is. That's what they have to do. But this shift in actually understanding more about that person and putting the onus back onto them, in that, look, yes, I can help you, but you can help yourself
self
a
a
lot
lot
more.
better. Yes.
And do you know why you can do that? It's because you are with yourself every single day, and I am not. And all you need is a little bit of awareness, a little bit of understanding. And once you have that, it's almost like, okay, now I get it. Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't understand that before. Thank you for explaining it to me.
Yeah.
Now I can go ahead and manage this. And I think this is where that shift needs to take to happen. It's happening, but
Yes.
it's happening slowly.
Yes. It is happening slowly. Um, and I think that in terms of supporting, providing the support that people need, really need, is where the power of community comes in, and peer-led support. So hearing from others who have been diagnosed with X, Y, and Z condition, what are they doing to look after themselves, and what is
Yeah.
working? And oh, have you when's the last time you went out in nature? Going on nature
Mm,
walks together, having forest therapy together, being mindfully present, doing some just basic breathing together,
yeah.
having that community that they're not alone. And oh, the power that comes from peer-led support rather than doctor or health professional led support is just second. Like it's amazing
Yeah.
because
It is.
there is um the system is probably at breaking point, has been for a while now with everything that's gone on, but it just can't sustain to that level to provide that level of support that people need.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, there's more and more just offering other modalities, other ways of supporting, people through their health, I think is as I said, it is starting to happen. I'm reading a fascinating book. Do you know David Hamilton? He's Dr. I think I don't know if he's Dr. David Hamilton anyway. And he's written a book, Why Woo Woo Works.
Yes, I've seen that. I have not read
I, th-
it, but
I
yes, it
think you
looks
would,
good.
based
Does
on
he
what we've
talk
just been
about
talking about.
dancing?
I haven't got to that bit
Oh,
yet. I'm
you
waiting
better
for it.
be.
I'm on the chapter on Reiki, so I'm listening. I'm learning all
Okay.
about Reiki. So these are the things I'm talking about, right? About
Yes.
Reiki. It's been around for centuries,
Yeah.
right? But he digs into some of the science behind it and how these things work, and he talks a lot about the placebo effect in trials and experiments. And
Yes.
and his viewpoint is like, well, if if we know the placebo effect is a real thing, right?
Yes.
So if someone can get better through placebo, then why not? If it's going to make
Yes.
them feel, if it's going to make them better, then why not? And there's
But
a
you're
lot
not
more.
giving him your placebo doesn't mean a sugar pill necessarily.
Agreed. Yes,
It
agreed.
is
Yeah.
it is the power of the mind and the belief and
Yes.
the right down to your cells believing that this is
Yes.
possible and having hope, like really truly, and trust.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've all maybe, well, I'd say we all, I know I've experienced that on a different level, in that when I started getting involved in exercise, I didn't carry on doing exercise because I was like, oh, look, exercise has these benefits. It helps me to prevent type 2 diabetes. It helps me to, I didn't
Yeah.
know all of that when I started working out.
No.
All I knew was I just did something. I feel pretty good now.
Yeah.
I'm going to do, it's almost like eating sugar for the first time. It's like, oh, that was good.
Yeah.
Let's do more. That's just our nature, isn't it? It's if something is good, if something
You
is,
know. You
you
know.
know,
You know the
you know,
difference. You know
and
better
then
than
you want
anyone
more.
else. Yes, and then you
Reg-
want more, and then you build on that, you do it more. Um, and the other thing with what you said, so just two things. So uh, these practices that have been around for centuries, like Reiki, like meditation, dancing has too.
Yes, yes, and that's exactly what I missed that one out from before. Of
Yeah.
course, I should have mentioned, but yes, dancing. This is not something
Yeah.
new, and maybe it's new in the realm of a doctor talking about prescribing dance. That definitely is a new way of thinking. But the actual use of dance to make us feel better, that's not a new concept at all. It's just the science now is here to prove that, oh, actually, there are a lot of benefits here.
Yes. And you mentioned things like Reiki. When do you think that will be available on the NHS ever?
Well, it's interesting because this is something that David Hamilton talks about in his book, in that he
Mm,
would love to see. And again, I'm sorry, David, that I'm probably massacring what your lovely words in your book, but he talks about a time where these modalities, and I think he mentions Reiki specifically, can be offered as part of a overall holistic solution where a
mm,
doctor, even because there's no reason why GPs can't say, hey, listen, given them what you've told me, given them what we've discussed, you need to go and see this person, and this person's a Reiki practitioner, and there's this holistic way of
mm,
looking at medicine, and it's a world that I do dream of, and that sounds crazy, but I do believe that at one point I think we should create a movie around it or something, where you go in and it's this holistic approach to medicine. In that, yeah, you might still see this one person who's the doctor. He or she is the face of it, but then you have this access to this network of professionals who are, whether they're Reiki, whether they're personal trainers, whether they're dance instructors, whether they're mindfulness specialists,
yes,
whether they're yoga, whatever it is. It's like, okay, now go and
yes,
do this. And your prescription will look like that. Your
yes.
prescription won't be take this pill
No,
2 to 3 times a day with food, with water for 10 days. It will
no,
be in the morning, you're going to do 5 minutes of meditation, and then you're going to do that's the sort of prescription model that we're looking to move towards. And so
yes.
look, I'm a people that are listening to me who know me really well probably going to laugh when I say this, but I am an optimist, whether people believe that or not, in the sense of what I'm talking about now. And because I've seen the positive changes taking place within the realm of functional medicine, lifestyle medicine, and the rate at which it's happening, it may seem like it's slow, and yes, it is a little bit slow, but at the same time, it's not that slow. It's actually, technology is helping us to accelerate it.
Mm,
I do see a time where that hopefully is offered as part of a integrative health offering,
mm,
and the only reason that I think it's going to happen is because we know it works, right? And it's
mm.
going to take the pressure off the doctors, the nurses,
I
the medical
remember
professionals.
I remember when I was seeing my patients as a GP, and when you see a patient who's doing so much for themselves, it's really like, okay, well, what else can I help with? What could we tweak,
Yeah.
perhaps? Because you're doing so much. So, that the empowered patient is going to do so much better than
Yes.
someone who's like, well, fix me.
Yeah.
Because
A-
I don't know what to do. I feel like I've got this condition or these conditions. I'm on these drugs. What do I do now? I don't know how to help myself.
Yeah, and that's a story that unfortunately I hear too often. I work on the diabetes prevention program, and it's something that I come across all the time. It's like, well, I don't know what to do, and I'm just here because the doctor told me to be here. But it's a percentage of those people who then, after 9 months, have turned around, and you just see the difference in them. It's like, hey, do you know what? I've started taking a bit more control, right? And they don't
Yeah,
say those words, but it's like, oh, I've started to go for walks. I've started to do what you said. And when the kettle, I use the kettle as an example. So I said, when next time you boil your kettle, you probably boil your kettle 5 or 6 times a day. That's 2 minutes every time you boil your kettle, right? Dance, right?
yeah,
Stick the music on, dance, do something, whether it's something like that. Oh, I've started to do that. And then they start to see, actually, I can make myself feel better. I can
yes,
change the
yes.
way that I feel and change the outcome of my health. And hey, I did it without the need of any kind of medical intervention here.
I just want to bring in here, because I'm a functional medicine doctor, that the power of health coaching, because you can make practical suggestions of what you said about, when the kettle's on for those 2 minutes, you dance. But even still, for some people, there might be a barrier.
Of course.
And that's where the support from someone like a health coach can really delve into that, pick that, unravel why
Mm,
that is, and is the core belief for that individual that they don't deserve it.
yeah. Yeah.
And that's what's holding them back. I mean, I know this from when I wanted to um, be more outside in nature. I had to kind of work through my own set of limiting beliefs to actually do it. because,
Yeah.
oh, the dishwasher needs emptying. That's the excuse. But there's something deeper behind that that's preventing that person, for me, to actually get outside and walk around the block.
Yeah, yeah. It's not these other things, those other things we put up as barriers, as, oh, it's this,
Yes,
it's this, it's this, you know. And
yes.
I've again experienced the same thing. It's like, I used to blame, oh, I don't like the rain. That's why I don't go outside in the cold and the
Mm,
rain. It's not because I don't
no.
like the rain. Because when I actually figured it out, that actually it's not bad weather. It's just bad clothing. I realized it was something deeper inside of me that actually just didn't want to go out
That's
and
it.
didn't want. It was talking about the motivation piece. It's interesting you talk about health coaches, where some people that term is quite new.
Yes.
So I guess, what is a health coach, and how do you see the role of a health coaching being integrated to the world of medicine right now?
So you talked about that sort of integrated back office type scenario with all your alternative health um, wellness practitioners and offerings. So I think the what should sit between that wonderful network and the network of doctors and nurses and hospitals is health coaches.
Mm,
Health coaches should be that, they should be the people who lend, hold space for people and support them and start wherever they are in their journey, whether it's information, lack of knowledge, whether it's actually I've just got too much stress going on, I don't know what to do, I'm overwhelmed. How, like, maybe the thing that person needs to change is their relationship or their work, and that is the
mm,
thing that, then that's where the excuses come up. So really, um, I think health coaches can help to personalize, but also support in a sort of more of a community,
yeah.
and facilitate that and say, oh, why don't we try this, or and holding people accountable.
Yeah, and I think this is where, I think the role of a doctor and a frontline, the person who's got the frontline contact with the patient, and a health coach can work together, in that the doctor is there, of course, as an important, role to recognize anything serious, anything that
Yes.
really needs an immediate. I mean, you look at it, we all know this, right? You're either gonna, if you're not feeling well, your first thought might not go to, but it would be, do I need to call 999?
Yeah.
Right. So if you don't need to call 999, what's your next step? You're going to call, is it 112? Is it, yeah, 112.
Yeah.
Am I going to
Or
call 112?
111. Yeah.
Sorry, 111. Sorry. That'll call the police. You get the police in a different country, 112. 111.
Yeah.
Is it 111? And then it's like, oh, then do I need to do I need to, maybe I need to see a GP. It's not, I don't need to call 111. Do I see a GP? And then it's like, then I think there needs to be there's another kind of chain reaction there. But I think, going to the doctor is going to be important, but there needs to be, as you mentioned, that accountability piece. And I think this is where the role of a health coach can come in. And I think a doctor can simply just say, okay, well, look, it's not as, we don't need to escalate this any further than, where it is now. You need to see a health coach. And that's where the health coach will help you with things like stress, with things like habits, with things like
And
accountability, with
mindset.
things like mindset, just showing
Mm,
you how to, because look, and I've said this a million times on this podcast, most people have been told at some stage in their life by a doctor, you need to lose weight and do a bit of exercise. And there's nothing wrong with that advice, except they don't tell you what to do. Now, that's not the fault of the doctor, because
mm.
that's not what the system's designed to do. It's just like, hey, you need to lose weight, you need to do some exercise because you're overweight. And if you don't do that, you're in risk of getting type 2
Really, I
diabetes.
see, as you're speaking, I see the role of the doctor, and involve nurses and the sort of medical community in that sense, as just recognizing the red flags and
Yes.
monitoring, like the height, the weight, the BMI, those metrics, blood pressures. Like, okay, that's where you are right now. Let's, allow you to go on a bit of a journey, look after, learn how to learn some tools and use them, and see and monitor and track how you get on, because
I agree.
you can. And I would say, is once people have kind of experienced that, they develop, they become empowered, they develop that inner knowing of what do they need.
Yeah. Because like you said earlier,
Yeah,
no one can look after themselves better than you can look after yourself,
yeah,
right? It's you are number one. And
yeah.
I think it's so crucial. And as you were speaking there, my mind was just going towards actually that's a great place to have health coaches. But in this, we're talking about the utopian world, and we have been, so why not?
Yeah.
I think health coaches should be in schools, right?
Oh
We
gosh.
should be going into schools. And you mentioned you got into this journey because you were trying to look into the nutrition of your daughter. Similarly, when my daughter was born, even as a health coach, as a trainer, as a nutrition, I understand these things. I got deep into that world. I was like, oh, I don't know. I need to figure this stuff out.
Yeah.
But as she's grown up, I've been looking at the way that the schools and the nurseries and the way they operate, and I'm thinking
Mm,
there's something missing here. It's like there should be, yes, we need to learn how to count. Yes, we need to learn phonics and count how and do our math and do all of these things. However,
yes.
isn't it equally as important that we grow up and leave school knowing how to cook for ourselves, knowing how to look after our body, knowing how to exercise properly, learning
Mm,
how to manage our mental state? I mean, gosh, think about the mental challenges that we've all gone through growing up as children. And I'm not saying anyone's problems worse than the other. It's all relative.
yeah.
And but now, particularly now in this era where we're growing up with technology, over information, it's very easy to get confused. And I think where school is very grounding in that the principles stay relatively the same. You're there to learn the fundamentals, right? Well, those fundamentals need to change, right? We need to add to those fundamentals, and this lifestyle, this nutrition, this stress management piece needs to be integrated into those fundamentals as well, as much as
Absolutely.
learning to read and count and do those things are.
Yeah, you're spot on there. I mean, the children, the health of our children, and they're learning how to look after yourself. I mean, I hope that I am stepping into that with my own kids by role modeling how mummy looks after herself. She might have to go
Mm,
for a walk. She does her dancing. They've been on some of the dances. We took dancing away
great.
on holiday, and I did my Insta dances there. Um, so they're learning loads from just me being me and me looking after myself better. So it's everybody's right and responsibility to know that we can't rely. It's just impossible to rely on the medical establishment.
Yeah, and we shouldn't have to. I
Mm,
mean, and I think also a lot of these. Again, I'm not qualified to say this, but I think a lot of things that, and you probably better positioned to talk about this, but a lot of things that people may come to a doctor with perhaps don't need medical intervention. It just needs some kind of lifestyle intervention, some
mm,
kind of, accountability, as you said, some kind
mm,
of just actually this, you just need to change this.
mm,
You don't need any, and I think that is that is the missing piece, isn't it? It's just that we don't necessarily need to, and maybe that's where in the future, it might not be you go to a doctor first. Maybe you
mm,
go to a health coach first, perhaps, and the
mm,
health coach
mm.
just assesses your lifestyle, and
Because
it's like, okay,
you're
is
the
this,
health coach can hold space for you and listen to you.
that's what they're there for. That's what they're paid for.
Being
That's what they've got the time for.
being heard is a
Yes.
huge missing piece to our health experience. Being heard, because that's where the clues lie. This might go even deeper to early childhood experiences, traumatic experiences, and this is how it's playing out. And that
Yeah,
that needs attention and support.
it does. It does. And it's getting it. It's getting it, but it's changing. And the more people that we can get dancing and
Well, that's the thing. This dancing helps to, and this is the other thing that really lit me up is that this, because I work with a lot of people who have. You'll be surprised. A lot of people have had traumatic experiences in their life, in their childhood or young adult life, and it's such a process, isn't it,
mm,
to work through that. And there's lots of beneficial therapies, but it is a long process. It can be. But dance, this freedom and having fun, what I find in my transcendence classes is that people will, because you're on sort of, you know, we talk about unkinking the hose. So we've got lots of kinks. If you imagine a hose can develop lots of kinks, and so the water
yeah,
doesn't flow through. But when you dance and just open up that flow so that the water can flow through, then things kind of come to the surface. So some people can experience a wave of emotion. I mean, emotion is energy in motion. A wave of emotion, whether positive or negative, just from moving in a very free way. And so I reassure people, I say, you know, this is natural. This may happen to you. If it happens, just let it happen.
Yeah.
You don't have to necessarily understand the origins of that,
Yeah. Just
but
let it
it's
let things be the way they are and accept them for how they are.
expertly and allow those emotions to flow,
Yeah.
because that is the human thing to do.
Yeah. Do you know what? That's interesting, because that's something I found extremely powerful for me, in that when I've felt, things in my head are not right, or I'm just, things are against me, and
Mm,
often your instant reaction, and this may be a conditioned response from childhood upbringing or environment, is I need to fix it. I need to change. This is what I need to change direction now, rather
yes,
than just allowing it to be and just sit with it
yes,
and accepting it, but becoming aware of it. And I think you need to become aware of it. And it happened
yes,
recently where I said to my wife, I said, look, this is what I'm going through. And she's like, oh, well, what are you doing? I said, do you know what? Right now, I'm just sitting with it.
it's
I'm
just
okay.
yes,
I'm aware of it, so I'm not going to hopefully let it overpower me too much. I'm aware of it. I'm just
yes,
going to sit with it. Just be aware. I'm letting you know, because I want you to know this is what I'm going through at the moment. So
yes,
if I do something a bit weird, this is why.
yes,
But I'm just going to sit with it for a while. And she's obviously a very kind and compassionate person. And she said, okay, that sounds really cool. If you need anything from me, let me know. But
mm,
when that first moment I did that and I actually said it out loud to someone else,
mm,
I was like, yes, this for me, again, this is just for me. This is the answer. It's not, oh, I'm feeling this way, I need to stop feeling that way suddenly. Let me go and do 50 push-ups or go for a run and just feel better. Yeah, those things will help. But even
yes,
now, even if I do go for a run, I'm ruminating. I'm letting those emotions just process and let them sit with me, and
and it
work the
gets in your
kinks. The
body.
kinks, yes, the kinks, let the kinks work themselves out, or do
Wow,
something to help those kinks work themselves out, and then just accept it.
yes,
And yeah, so I think that just when you said that reminded me of that, and it's very powerful, very interesting.
yes.
Um, I've really enjoyed speaking to you, Indika, today. I think I'm going to implore everyone to go and check out, your work and what you're doing. Where can people find out about your private practice, your dance classes, and obviously you've got your the stuff you do on Instagram as well?
Yeah, so my website is www.drindika.com. So DRINDIKA.com. So I'm in the process of kind of merging all my work together. So it's a little bit fragmented. But on social media, I'm known on Instagram as holistic.dancing.doctor. And at the time of this recording, I am doing a, a dance at 9:30 UK time AM, Mondays to Thursdays. So two songs, so anyone
Fantastic.
can join. I also have a Facebook community group called Dance with Indika, and I put all my replays on there so people can um, slot a dance break in when it suits them, because obviously that time may not suit everybody. Now
A
I'm
dance snack.
dance snack, exactly. Now in a few months' time, they may be called different things, but hopefully people can find me somehow and join, really, because I'm not stopping. I'm gonna, yeah, figure out how to get people dancing more. Really,
I love it.
that's my
I
that's
love
my
it.
mission.
And I think we need more people who are on that same mission. And
Mm,
yeah, I will link everything that you've just said, all your details, on in the show notes and the description, so people can go and
thank
check it
you.
out. I do, yeah, go and check it out. And you got the Transcendance as well, dance classes as
Yes.
well. What's the format of that?
So that is the first at the time of this recording again, because that might
Okay,
change.
sure.
I do them the first Wednesday evening, 8:30 p.m. UK time of the month. So we're recording this in November. So November's one is already passed. So for this year, there's only one more.
Excellent.
But yeah, they're the first Wednesday of every month, and they're online. First class is free, and it really is, as you would book an hour or a longer yoga class, or a chance to switch off and really kind of immerse in something good for you, try
Mm,
Transcendance. I take you on a journey. It has mindfulness, it has fun, it has movement, empowerment, visualizations, energy work, all wrapped into one experience. And each experience will be experienced differently. And that just
fantastic.
reflects what, we are human, and every day can be different. Our bodies can feel differently.